Okay, I'm Councilman Nat Bates. I'm the senior member on the Richmond City Council, and I have with me my colleague, Councilman Corky Bouzet. I want to introduce a gentleman that I've known since his birth and who have worked with the city of Richmond for years. He has been a strong advocate and ambassador for Richmond in bringing in various projects, namely lately the Target department store that we're so proud of, Joanne, the Asian development at Hilltop, and many others. And he's an individual that has been a great ambassador for Richmond, and I'm going to bring him up and let him explain this very beautiful opportunity that Richmond is now getting ready to experience. As you know, throughout the area, we've been in a downcline in reference to the economic development. Buildings are being vacated and left unattended. And John Troutman has taken up on himself to be a person that go out and seek various businesses and bring them into the city of Richmond. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce John, who will talk about this very nice opportunity that the city of Richmond is being exposed to.
Thank you.
Thank
you for your help. So thank you all for being here. And you know, today's a great day for Richmond. There's many great days for Richmond, and lately there's been more than just a few. But part of Richmond's history has been, it was an industrial community, and with some biggest companies in the country, Chevron, Rheem, some others. And in the past, we had a deindustrialization phase where some of the businesses left. And so what the challenge has been is to how can we remake those facilities to provide places for people to work here in Richmond instead of working other places. And what we call the Steelscape deal is kind of the best example of that, at least going so far, and it's led to a number of real estate deals going forward, which will lead to jobs and opportunities for the people of Richmond and the Richmond area. And so, you know, Latressa, who's, stick up your hands. Well, no, I mean, it's special that everybody gets credit for this, because this isn't me, it's a kind of a community thing. I mean, what literally really happened is an old Bethlehem steel mill here was bought by a gentleman called Marshall Ways, who converted it from making steel to coating steel, and then his company was bought by a Latin American, a former piece of Broken Hill Proprietary that had been sold to Latin American investors called Steelscape. That's why we call it Steelscape. And what Steelscape did was to bolster their market in other places, namely Kalamazoo and Shreveport, Louisiana. They shut this factory. And when they shut this factory, they turned off the job opportunity for about 350 people that I grew up with. And apparently Latressa grew up with them also. Because guess what? She called. And she asked me if I would help, if there was something I could do that would, you know, and I said, well, you know, I've done a lot of transactions and stuff around here, but this is a very, very tricky project. You know, it's as you can see, this is 500,000 feet of improvements, metal buildings, you know, built like bridges, you know, lightweight contamination issues and all that. And so we started a process where, again, you know, everybody was involved. You know, Corky, Nat, you know, half the people in this room, you know, Sal's group, everybody, to try to entice people to come to the site. Now, this is one of the few sites, you can see the bay here, where, and I'm not, it's kind of a joke, but like every silly idea in the last decade that's happened along San Francisco Bay or tried to happen, they've come and looked at this facility. Yes, Tesla's been through this facility. You know, yes, the people that were going to make little mini windmills for China were in this facility, have looked at this facility. There's, you know, the list is huge. And some of them didn't, you know, there was no hope. Some of them were you had to have the building come down. Now, going back to the buildings here, as you can see, this facility, it started, actually over here, well anyway, it started off the 500-acre steel mill. So bits and pieces of it were sold off over time. The distribution center here you know, was sold off for it. The jail over here, these buildings were a part of the 97-acre transaction that were sold off it, but the core was left alone because the core was difficult because of cleanup issues and the demolition issue. So what we were able to do, again, working together and working, you know, a long time, lots of hours, lots of energy, lots of, you know, failed attempts trying to get things, but we were able to find a developer, the largest developer in the Sacramento area, to purchase a site, and we structured a transaction with the owners of the site where they would pre-fund the environmental cleanup that was necessary and the demolition. But what's so special about what happened is, because we were able to signal the markets that this building, which some people refer to as blight or whatever, was coming down, the land in front of it was actually able to trade first. And there's going to be 500,000 feet of distribution and manufacturing space right here, and the buildings are going to start coming up this spring and this summer, which will make, you know, another 1,000 jobs or so, you know, for the Richmond area. And then as Denton Kelly and his group takes the 42-acre building down, we'll end up with that again in the next pass, probably in the next year. So where we got lucky, and again, everybody working together, is that, as many people know, because of e-commerce, earlier the warehouse and manufacturing and distribution facilities moved out into the Central Valley. But they're coming back because they want to be able to make 2-trip-a-day deliveries and be able to perform that and be able to assemble products and all that stuff. And so sites like this are now becoming, you know, extremely valuable, and we're lucky enough that we've just timed it right, that we're going to be able to have that type of job opportunities happening again here in Richmond. So that's kind of, I mean, if anybody's got any questions, you know, this is like a literally 10-year endeavor, which again, I want to say one other thing though. In the state, and this is why I hope you guys understand this, why this is so special, there are hundreds of facilities like this. They're closed plant sites throughout California. There's thousands throughout the country. And some of them are because of again, contamination issues. Some of them are because of something I call over-cross collateralization issues. Others are because the land value for all the sites around it is so low that it's not worth doing the demo to get the land here, which is something that Denton was able to figure out and do a good job here. So I mean, this is actually something fairly special in that you know, taking a deindustrialized site and being able to put it back into a land state that it can be redeveloped and create jobs for Richmond.